All right. Good morning, everyone. It is 9:30, so I'm just making. Oh, there we go. Okay. I think WebEx updated or something because now I'm in a different place, so I just had to find myself to make sure my camera was showing it. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Bureau for Private Postsecondary Education's November Advisory Committee meeting. First, we are going to take a roll call to confirm our quorum. Richie, would you be willing to help with that or moderate or somebody just so that I don't have to call myself?
Yeah, I can call roll.
Okay, thank you so much.
Lee Farron,
Present.
Tess Crakier,
Present.
Robert Boykin,
Present.
Kansen Chu,
Here.
Melanie Delgado,
Present.
Joseph Holt is absent, Robin Smith,
Here.
Tracy Tambasia is absent, Michael Zimmerman is absent, but we have a quorum.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so as usual, I have some introductions and some housekeeping, and then we'll move into the agenda. So today's meeting will be run according to the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act and the Brown Act. Under the state rules, advisory committee members are required to visibly appear on camera during the meeting. Any members who are unable to be visible for reasons of technological impracticability must announce the reason for their non-appearance when they turn off their camera. Since this meeting is being conducted via WebEx, I would ask all advisory committee members and other speakers to announce themselves by name before speaking for clarity of the record. All advisory committee members are able to unmute themselves to speak during the meeting. Please place yourself back on mute when not speaking to reduce background noise for all participants. We will ensure that all comments from advisory committee members and speakers that can be accommodated are heard before proceeding with the agenda. The advisory committee welcomes public comments on any item on the agenda, and the committee will ask for public comments on each agenda item prior to any potential action being taken. During each agenda item, the host moderating the WebEx will activate the Q&A feature of WebEx and will provide instructions for individuals to make public comments. When called upon, the individuals will be able to unmute, and they will have 3 minutes to make their public comment. Once the 3 minutes have passed, the individual will be placed back on mute. Only one public comment per agenda item per attendee. During our second agenda item, which is public comments for items not on the agenda, the advisory committee has limited the total public comment period for individuals to 30 cumulative minutes. For all other agenda items, the limit is 20 cumulative minutes. There is still a 3-minute limit for any individual participant. For public comment in particular, but for all speakers, please stay on topic and keep your comments the allotted time or less. If members of the public have a question for the advisory committee or the Bureau, as opposed to a comment, you are welcome to submit your comment via email to bppe@dca.ca.gov. Okay, I think that's all the housekeeping for today. So our second agenda item is a public comment for items not on the agenda. So I just went through most of the ground rules. I'm going to mention just a couple more. Any public comment should provide information to the advisory committee. It's not a discussion between the advisory committee and the public. The only action that we are able to take as advisory committee members is to listen to comments and decide whether or not we would like a future agenda item on the topic. No other action can be taken on the item at this meeting. Again, if there is a question as opposed to a comment, it can be submitted via email. And again, the email is bppe@dca.ca.gov. If you are interested in commenting on a specific agenda item, please wait until we get to that agenda item. At this time, we are opening the queue for public comments only for items not on the agenda.
And this is the moderator. If anyone would like to make comment for an item not on the agenda, you can look for the hand icon. If you are logged in on a computer, that hand icon should be along the bottom row of your WebEx screen. If you are on a mobile device, you might have to click the 3 dot other options to get to the next screen to see the hand. And any call-in users can press the *3 to raise their hand. As stated, each person will have 3 minutes with a 30-second warning. Are there any comments for an item that is not already on the agenda? I do not see any requests for comment. Shall I close that public comment feature?
Yes, please. Thank you.
You're
And I
welcome.
should just confirm, do we have, and is there anyone in person that I need to be checking with?
There are no members in the room.
Okay, wonderful. Then I will assume that if anything changes, just please let me know so I can continue to check with the room. Okay, so we will move to the third item on the agenda, which is the review and approval of the August 27th, 2025 Advisory Committee meeting minutes. Any comments from the advisory committee? Questions, concerns?
This is Caston Shaw. I move to approve the meeting minute.
Thank you. Any second?
This is Tess, I'll second.
Thank you. Okay. We will move to public comment for, assuming no other comments from advisory committee members. Then we will move to public comment for item 3, review and approval of the advisory committee meeting minutes.
Thank you. This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a comment on the proposed meeting minutes, you can look for the hand icon and click that. There are instructions on the screen as well. Any comments on the minutes? I do not see any requests for comment. I will turn the meeting back to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we have a motion pending, so we will take a vote. Let me go back up and just make sure I have everyone ready. Okay, so this is for approval of the August 27th, 2025 Advisory Committee meeting minutes. Tess?
Aye.
Melanie?
I was present, so I'm going to abstain from voting.
Okay. Robert?
Aye.
Robin?
Aye.
And Kansen?
Aye.
And myself? Aye. Okay. Thank you all very much. We will move on to agenda item number 4, remarks by a representative. Yes.
Sorry to cut in here. In order for this to pass, we need 6 votes. It has to be a majority of the quorum of voting members, so it's a majority of 10.
Okay. Melanie, you are allowed to vote even if you were not there.
Okay.
You don't have, as long as you trust that the rest of us that the minutes accurately reflect.
Oh yeah, I read through them. I just didn't know if I could vote because I wasn't here, but
You're allowed to. Okay. Great. Now we have 6. Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate it. All right. Agenda item number 4, remarks by a representative of the Department of Consumer Affairs. I'm not sure who is covering this, although I saw a few folks from DCA.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Lucy. Thank you.
Of course. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lucy Saldivar of the California Department of Consumer Affairs. Thank you for the opportunity to provide some updates from the department. Firstly, I would like to introduce myself as one of the newest members of the department's executive team. I was recently appointed by Governor Newsom to serve as the Deputy Director of Board and Bureau Relations. Prior to this, I served as Chief of Staff for Assemblymember Lisa Calderon, and previously as her first legislative director. I also held multiple roles in the office of Assemblymember Jackie Irwin, and I'm a member of the Hope Leadership Institute and the California Latino Capital Association Foundation. We are also happy to welcome Shelley Jones to the department's executive team. Shelley was appointed by Governor Newsom as the Assistant Deputy Director of Board and Bureau Relations. She brings 29 years of experience working with boards, and she has been with DCA since 2015, serving in several capacities with board and bureau relations, as well as DCA's strategic organizational leadership and individual development and organizational improvement offices. Prior to joining DCA, she served in multiple roles at the Juvenile Parole Board of the California Department of Corrections. We are so very excited to be serving as your new board and bureau relations team, and I know that Shelley looks forward to meeting all of you in the near future. Moving on to another update, I would like to provide a reminder about sexual harassment prevention training. As you may remember, sexual harassment prevention training is mandated for completion within 30 days of your appointment to the advisory committee and every 2 years thereafter. On October 27th, DCA launched its new sexual harassment prevention training in the Learning Management System, also known as LMS. If you completed the 2024-2025 sexual harassment prevention training during those calendar years, the new training will automatically be assigned to your LMS account 2 months before your 2-year mark. If you have not completed the sexual harassment prevention training, the new version has already been assigned to your LMS account on October 27th. Please log in and begin the training. Going forward, the compliance deadline will either be 2 years from the last completion for those that took the training, or by December 27th for those that did not. Upon completion of the new sexual harassment prevention training, it will be automatically reassigned to your LMS account biannually. If you have any questions or you need assistance accessing the training, please reach out to us at memberrelations@dca.ca.gov. Additionally, DCA's training unit has developed unconscious bias training for advisory committee members. This training will be added to members' LMS accounts in November, as well as incorporated into all onboarding when new board members and advisory committee members are appointed. You can find your training records under the transcript section of your LMS account. And once again, if you have any questions or need assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out. Lastly, every year through the Our Promise California State Employees Charitable Campaign, state employees, including advisory committee members and board members, have the opportunity to provide the nonprofit causes that they are to provide support to the nonprofit causes that they are passionate about through payroll, giving, or one-time donations. These contributions have a positive impact on our communities. The campaign runs through December 31st, and DCA will be emailing information to advisory committee members and board members through this month. But in the meantime, once again, please contact Board and Bureau Relations if you have any questions or if you'd like more information on how you can give. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join you today, and please let me know if you have any questions or are ever in need of any assistance. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Committee members, any questions? Okay, hearing none, we will open it up to public comment for item number 4. Moderator, I'll turn it over.
Thank you. If anyone has any comments on the DCA update, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. Each speaker will have 3 minutes with a 30-second warning. Are there any comments on the DCA update? I see no requests for comments, so I will turn the meeting back to you.
Thank you so much. We are moving on to item number 5, and we will take each of these items. There's A through H. We will go individually and take public comment after each individual letter. So item 5A is the overall item, 5 is the Bureau Operations Update, and 5A is specifically the IT system project. Guessing this might be Ryan, but I'm not sure.
Good morning, committee members. My name is
Hello.
Manila Vongmeni, and I'm the Deputy Bureau Chief over Licensing and Administration, and I will be providing the Connect updates on behalf of Jason Piccioni. Let's see. So last quarter, we've been really busy. We're continuing on the course referenced in the last meeting, working through issues related to functionality and data conversion. We've had to slow down a bit due to staffing changes, but are working closely with our OIS team and developers to continually reprioritize as needed. We anticipate creating accounts for approved and registered institutional representatives in early 2026, which will allow institutions to submit STRIP assessment reports online, pay fees online, review their profile details, and over time be able to submit all types of applications through Connect instead of paper. What questions do you have for me about the IT system?
Any questions from committee members? Okay. The only thing I will say is it's exciting that it's an implementation. I know we said that a little bit in August, but it is exciting to get the updates being about how it's actually being used. So that's very cool. Okay, hearing nothing from committee members, we will move to public comment for item 5A, the IT system project update.
Thank you. This is the moderator. If anyone has any questions on the IT update, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. There are instructions on the screen, and each commenter will have 3 minutes. Any comments on the IT update? I do not see any requests for comments, so I will turn that back to you.
Thank you so much. We are moving on to item 5B, the licensing update, and I think we're back to Manila.
That's correct. Good morning again, committee members. I'm Manila Vongmeni, and I will be walking you through the licensing update for the first quarter of fiscal year 25-26. It's been a very, very active few months for the licensing unit. The team has been managing a lot at once, keeping our day-to-day work on track, supporting system stabilization efforts, and adjusting to some leadership changes, all while staying focused on our core mission. One of the biggest priorities this quarter was filling the licensing chief position, which had been vacant since July. And I'm happy to share that we've selected Nicole Dragoo, who officially stepped into that role on October 31st. You may know Nicole from her time as a licensing manager here at the Bureau. She brings deep institutional knowledge and a steady leadership style, so we're very excited to have her leading the team again. Nicole is on the call, so Nicole, can you come off mute and introduce yourself to the committee?
Thank you, Manila. Committee, my name is Nicole Dragoo, and I have the opportunity to appear today. I have served as a state employee since 2013, beginning my state career at Covered California, then moved into analytical roles at the Department of Consumer Affairs and the California Department of Education, where I spent over 5 years supporting public school districts through fiscal oversight, compliance monitoring, and staff training. It was in this role that I first realized I am driven to protect students and strengthen educational integrity. This inspired me to serve as a licensing manager at the Bureau, and I most recently served as budget manager with the Department of Consumer Affairs. I am grateful to return to the Bureau as licensing chief because the Bureau's mission, vision, and values align with my leadership style. I was drawn to the opportunity to work alongside staff who share my passion and dedication to consumer and student protection. My leadership style is grounded in transparency and collaboration, and I remain committed to ensuring diligent oversight that directly protects students, preserves program integrity, and delivers responsive support to private post-secondary institutions. I look forward to working with the committee and providing quarterly licensing updates. I welcome your questions and concerns and am committed to responding promptly. Thank you for your time and support, and I look forward to continued collaboration.
Thank you, Nicole. We're very excited to have her on board. Another major focus has been stabilizing and maintaining Connect, our new system of record that went live in July. As with any major rollout, there have been a few bumps and nothing unexpected for a transition of this size. To keep things moving along, 3 analysts, up from our 2 last quarter, were temporarily reassigned full-time to the Connect team. They've been working closely with developers and end users to fix issues like missing cashiering transactions that blocked us from closing certain applications, school codes not generating properly in certain situations, and a few data alignment problems. Thankfully, these have been resolved. Also, while we were without a licensing chief and had a team manager out on extended leave, we also reassigned one analyst to help with reviewing quality, just to make sure our applications stayed accurate and consistent. So even with all the shifting around, the licensing team hasn't lost focus. I've spent a lot of time working alongside them these past 5 months and can honestly say they've remained incredibly dedicated to licensing quality institutions and protecting students. And as always, I'd welcome your feedback on what you'd like to see in future reports. Next slide. This slide gives you a snapshot of where we've landed at the end of Q1. We continue to see a steady stream of applications across all categories. We've approved 31 full renewals in Q1. Most of the activities came from change request and verification of exemption applications. By the end of the quarter, we had processed 102 exemption verifications and 65 change requests. Next slide. You'll see on this slide that the average time to approve full applications inched up a bit this quarter, and that's temporary. 4 of our 12 analysts were redirected for other high priority work during Q1, mainly to help stabilize Connect. 2 have already returned to licensing, and the other 2 continue to support Connect. We're keeping a close eye on turnaround times, but our top priority remains doing thorough, high quality reviews that ensure institutional integrity. Next slide. At the end of Q1, the Bureau oversees 1,484 institutional locations statewide, which includes 855 main campuses, 305 branch campuses, 324 satellite campuses, and also by approval type, 375 institutions approved by means of accreditation, 484 holding full non-accredited approvals, 139 registered as out-of-state institutions, and none currently operating under conditional approval. These numbers have stayed stable, which tells us that while institutions continue to adapt to new systems and requirements, the overall landscape remains steady. Next slide. The licensing workshop continues to be a bright spot for us. Attendance has stayed strong. We received 40 participants in July, 40 in August, and 29 in September. Feedback continues to be really positive. Attendees consistently tell us they appreciate the clarity of our presentations, the practical what to do guidance, and the chance to ask questions directly and hear real-world examples from Bureau staff. These sessions are improving the overall quality of applications we receive, and most importantly, they're helping strengthen relationships between the Bureau and institutions we regulate. And I think that takes me to the end of my presentation. To wrap it up, I want to thank the committee for your continued engagement and partnership. The last quarter tested our flexibility, but it also shows the strength and dedication of the licensing team. They've stayed focused, adaptable, and deeply committed to the Bureau's mission, protecting students and ensuring quality education in California. What questions do you have for me?
Thanks so much. Committee members, any questions regarding licensing?
This is Tess Craker. I just had a one question and then one potential suggestion. Can we go back to look at slide the Q1 application timeframes? And my question is it possible to articulate what the days to approve low means in comparison to the days to approve high? I'm not sure I fully understand what those two columns mean.
Yes, so we have our average days to approve, and then the days to approve low is the fastest we're able to approve an application, and days to approve high is the outlier that took us a lot longer than anticipated. So we wanted to highlight the range of the reality of the life cycle of an application.
Okay. Thank you so much. That helps. I suppose it's self-explanatory, but I wasn't grasping that. So thank you. And also very nice presentation. In looking at this particular slide as well, I know adding columns can sometimes be a little bit much, but I'm always curious when I see numbers like this, how it compares year on year for a similar time frame. I don't know if there's a particular category, whether it's just the 12-month rolling average rather than in every category, but something to consider, maybe a reflection of a year on year.
You mean like a comparison from like this year at this
Correct.
time versus last year?
Yes, and I know it could be cumbersome to do that for current quarter, 6-month rolling and 12-month, but maybe a look at where would that be most appropriate, just to kind of give a gauge on the comparison.
Thank you, Tess, for the feedback. We can certainly consider that.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from committee members? Okay, hearing none, we will move to public comment for item 5B, the licensing update.
This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a comment on the licensing update, you can look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. Our call-in users can press *3 to raise their hands, and each speaker will have 3 minutes with a 30-second warning. Any comments on licensing? I do not see any requests for comment. I will turn the meeting back to you.
Thank you so much. We will move to item 5C, which is the quality of education update, and I am guessing Ebony.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ebony Santee, and I'm the Education Administrator with the Bureau. First, I just want to give a shout out to my small but mighty team. I'm forever grateful for your work and persistence, and thank you all for doing the job that you do. So our first slide, a few small changes that I'll highlight. Next slide, please. I'm sorry, this is fine. We have one more institution that became accredited up from 25 last quarter, and still 15 have closed or expired during this process. 22 have surrendered their degrees and 12 have been suspended. We are down to 23 who are currently pursuing accreditation. Next slide. Sorry, it just looks a little different from my notes, but the numbers are correct. So once again, we're up one more with those that have obtained accreditation to 74. Overall, institution count is at 220, with those who 64 who have closed. We have 45 who have surrendered their degree programs. 21 have become exempt, and 16 have had those degrees suspended. And our last slide, highlighting all of the accrediting agencies. Sorry for this, I'm not sure.
I'll just reassure you, in the materials that were sent out, we see everything correctly.
Okay, great.
It's not showing up for some reason.
Yeah, the one change being that an institution, we have up to 3 for the Accrediting Commission of Career Schools and Colleges. That is my brief report. If you have any questions.
Committee members, any questions for Ebony? None. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Yep, we have to open it up to public comment. So hang on for 1 second. We'll open it up to public comment for item 5C, the quality of education update.
Thank you. This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a comment on the presentation, you can look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. Our calling users can press *3 to raise their hands. Any comments? I do not see any requests. I will turn the meeting back to you.
Okay, thank you. We will move on to item 5D, the compliance and annual report update. Eric?
Good morning, committee members. My name is Eric Cassada, the Compliance Chief. It's a pleasure to be here with you today to share updates from both the Compliance and Annual Reports units, and I'll start with the Compliance unit. As it relates to staffing, the Compliance unit remains fully staffed. Next slide, please. And the Compliance unit has begun fiscal year 25-26 with a strong start. As you can see there in the table, we completed 115 inspections in the first quarter, and at this pace, a straight line projection indicates that we're on track to far exceed the fiscal year 24-25 total, and we're on pace to complete roughly 460 inspections, which would be a 7% increase year over year. Next slide, please. Thus far in the fiscal year 25-26, we've conducted 75 unannounced inspections and 40 announced inspections, and staff assignments for the upcoming inspection period have already been made, with the majority continuing to be designated as unannounced. And institutions are just reminded that personnel must be available during normal business hours to provide the Bureau staff with access to the required records during inspections. We're hoping that this trend is going to start to change. I do think it, just me personally, I think it's like a little bit of hangover from the COVID era when we were predominantly doing just announced inspections. And the slide is also similar to Ebony. It's slightly altered. Next slide. This slide presents the inspection results for the fiscal year 25-26 thus far, categorized into announced and unannounced inspections, and the inspection outcomes fall into 4 categories: no action taken, notice to comply, enforcement referral, and both notice to comply and enforcement referral issued. And the data highlights 2 key trends. Unannounced inspections continue to identify more instances of non-compliance compared to announced inspections. And there's also been a decrease in cases where no action taken is the outcome for either inspection type. So roughly only 11.3% across both types of inspections. And as the fiscal year continues, we will continue to monitor these trends and just see if there's anything we can kind of glean from the data as it kind of bears itself out throughout the rest of the year. Next slide, please. The Bureau continues to offer compliance workshops, which are held monthly. During Q1, we averaged about 59 attendees during each workshop, and the next workshop is scheduled for November 12th, 2025. And I'll now move on to the annual report, compliance unit update. So this is just a reminder again, sorry, I'll start with staffing. The annual report compliance unit currently has 1 vacancy following a recent staff retirement last week of one of our associate governmental program analysts, and recruitment efforts are expected to begin relatively soon. And I'll keep you guys updated on that as well at future meetings. And then this is just an update. The portal for the 2024 annual report opened on August 1st with a due date of December 1st, 2025. And notifications were sent in July and early August to the institution's physical and mailing addresses on file with the Bureau, as well as by email to the individual who submitted the 2023 annual report. And a reminder, any changes to a physical or mailing address, contact person, agent for process, and or custodian of record must be updated timely. And if your institution has had any recent changes, please reach out to the licensing unit at the email address on the screen to update your information. And next slide, please. As a reminder, these are the components of the annual report, which is a submission of the institution data and documents via the annual report portal, and submission of the final financial statements by mail. And then next slide, please. And this is just a brief workshop update. We continue to offer school performance fact sheet workshops to help institutions understand and comply with relevant laws and regulations. These interactive sessions provide valuable information, and we strongly encourage all institutions to participate. During Q1, we averaged about 36 attendees across the workshops offered, and the next workshop is scheduled for November 21st, 2025. And institutions may register online at the Bureau's website. And then lastly, I just want to take a moment to recognize the outstanding work of both the compliance and annual report units. Their dedication, professionalism, and attention to detail continue to be essential to our ongoing success. And are there any questions from the committee?
Thank you. Committee members?
Hi, I just want to thank you for the report. I'm so heartened and happy to see the continuing unannounced inspections. Those are so important, and think the data shows that they do reveal extra information. So I just want to thank you to you and your staff for doing these, and just want to note how important this is for students. So thanks.
Thank you.
I could be misremembering this, and I don't know if you'll remember either. It feels to me like the difference between the results between unannounced and announced inspections has lessened, but I could be totally wrong about that. And maybe it's just that we got the data a little different. But I feel like in past meetings we've seen that the results in unannounced inspections were substantially higher, and this one feels like they're a lot closer. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but I wonder if it's a little bit that folks are realizing that they're getting more unannounced inspections, and so I don't know. And like I said, I could be misremembering, but that's what it felt less stark to me, the difference.
Yeah, we could definitely look at the data and kind of report back to you on that. I haven't looked at it from that perspective, but it would be interesting to see, what the difference year over year looks like. And we could definitely pull something together to kind of look at that and confirm or disprove that. But I definitely, when I put together the data for this particular meeting, I did notice that the pie chart looked very similar, announced versus unannounced.
Yeah.
Good. So good catch there, and I'll definitely do some digging on that.
Well, we'll test my memory basically as to whether or not it's really that different, but it feels like it. And I think you're probably right that some of that is also just the post-COVID, like getting back into the swing of things. So that makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways. Any other questions from the committee members or comments? Okay, we will open it up to public comment for item 5D, the compliance and annual report update.
Thank you. This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a comment on the report, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. And call-in users can press *3 to raise their hands. Any comments on the report? I do not see any requests for comment, so I will turn the meeting back to you.
Thank you so much. We will move on to item 5E, the complaint and investigation update. Daniel?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Good morning, Chair Farron and members of the committee. My name is Daniel Rangel. I'll be presenting the complaint and investigations update this morning. I'd like to begin with a brief staffing update from the complaint investigations unit. Recently, one of our enforcement analysts retired. Our congratulations and best wishes go out to her. We are currently working to post the position and initiate the recruitment process. Additionally, we are preparing for the upcoming departure of one of our investigative supervisors, Darwin Agar, who has accepted a new opportunity with another state agency. I want to take a moment to sincerely thank Darwin for his valuable contributions over the past 3+ years with the Bureau. He was the first manager that I hired in my capacity here when I started with the Bureau. I also want to acknowledge a request we received at the last advisory committee meeting from committee member Smith for additional information on cases closed due to insufficient evidence. We're actively working on this and aim to present an analysis similar to what we shared for the closed at intake at our next ACM. It's been a particularly busy quarter for us, which has delayed our progress on this request, but we appreciate the patience and remain committed to delivering a thorough response. Next slide, please. As requested by committee members, we've included the fiscal year totals on the slides there, so you guys can take a look at that, and that was also helpful for myself. In fiscal year 24-25, we averaged 260 complaints per quarter. In quarter one of the current fiscal year 25-26, we've received a notably higher volume of 348 complaints. This quarter tends to see elevated activity. So we anticipate and hope that the numbers will begin to ease towards last year's average as we progress through the fiscal year. Next slide, please. So far in quarter one of fiscal year 24-25, the percentage of non-jurisdictional complaints is lowered compared to 24-25, while the percentage of complaints involving approved schools has seen a slight uptick. That said, this is just an early snapshot, and trends may shift as the year progresses. Next slide, please. As noted during our previous ACM, we've made significant progress completing starting from completing 757 investigations in fiscal year 22-23, increasing to 1,175 at the end of fiscal year 24-25. In quarter one of fiscal year 25-26 alone, we've already completed 337 investigations, making a strong start to the year. Marking a strong start to the year. If this pace continues, we're on track to surpass 1,300 investigations by year end, helping us keep pace with the continued rise in incoming complaints. Excluding complaints closed at intake, represented by the reddish portion of the bar graph, the most common closure timeframes are 0 to 90 days with 70 cases, 1 to 2 years with 40 cases, followed closely by 181 to 365 days with 38 cases. These figures reflect our ongoing efforts to address new complaints promptly, while also making meaningful progress in resolving older and aging cases. Next slide, please. This slide shows the outcome of complaints assessed during intake. In quarter one of fiscal year 25-26, 363 complaints were processed, with 222 referred for investigation and 141 closed at intake. For comparison, 651 complaints were referred to investigations across all of fiscal year 24-25. This early volume suggests we're on track for a significant increase in referrals, reflecting the growing demand and reinforcing the importance of maintaining efficiency. Next slide, please. This slide summarizes the outcomes of investigative cases as of quarter one, 25-26. The distribution across categories remains largely in line with fiscal year 24-25 percentages. Next slide, please. These are the most frequently cited allegations referred to the discipline unit following investigations completed in quarter one of this fiscal year. Next slide, please. This graph illustrates the age distribution of our pending caseload. As mentioned earlier, we've made steady progress in resolving our oldest cases throughout last fiscal year. At the end of quarter two of fiscal year 24-25, we had 221 cases that were over 1 year old. By fiscal year end, that number had dropped to 162. As of the close of quarter one of fiscal year 25-26, it has further decreased to 139. These figures reflect our continued commitment to addressing aging cases while managing incoming complaints. Next slide, please. We ended fiscal year 24-25 with 482 pending cases. That number has risen slightly to 493 through quarter one of fiscal year 25-26. Although the recent increase in complaints has added pressure, the overall trend in reducing pending cases remains positive, even if progress has temporarily leveled off. Our collective commitment to growth and improvement continues to enhance our efficiency and effectiveness. No matter the obstacle, this team consistently rises to the occasion, reinforcing my strong confidence in their ability to meet challenges head on.
Thank you.
That said, I want to take a moment to express my deep gratitude to this team. Your incredible work, steady focus, and positive spirit, especially in the face of mounting pressure, do not go unnoticed. Maintaining that kind of energy and attitude isn't easy, yet you show up every day with dedication and heart. I'm truly proud to work alongside such a resilient and committed group, and I remain confident in our ability to meet whatever challenges come our way. And with that, I will note that the slides were a little off for me as well, so I do apologize for that. I will turn it over to the committee members with any questions.
Thank you. I just want to congratulate you because I think that's the first time we've seen a slide with no cases over 3 years, and you can really see the reduction over the last few meetings. So I understand there's still a high volume, but it's really cool to see them being resolved more quickly because I think that just feels better for the folks who are submitting. So I just want to congratulate you and the team. It's pretty cool to see that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Other committee members, comments or questions?
This is Tess. I was also going to second Lee's comments, and thank you for adding the fiscal year totals. That helps add some more meaning to the chart. So that was great. Appreciate it. Nice job.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, then we will move to public comment for item 5E, the complaint and investigation update.
Thank you. This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a comment on the update, you are welcome to use the hand icon, typically at the bottom of your WebEx screen. If you are a calling user, that hand, you can press *3 to raise your hand. If you're on a mobile device, the hand might be behind your 3-dot other options. Are there any comments on the update? I do not see any requests for comment, so I will turn the meeting back to you.
Thank you so much. We are moving on to item 5F, the discipline update. I think that's Renee.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. My name is Renee Walters. I'm the Discipline Unit Manager for the Bureau, and I'll be providing the Discipline Unit update for the first quarter. A short update, I just wanted to report that the Discipline Unit remains fully staffed. And I can move on to our first slide, please. Okay. During the first quarter, the Bureau took 3 enforcement actions resulting from accusations filed against approved institutions. Accusations detail the grounds for disciplinary action based on violations of the Bureau's laws and regulations. The actions that were taken in the first quarter include 1 default revocation, which occurred as a result of an institution not responding to a formal accusation filed by the Bureau. 1 proposed decision as a result of an administrative hearing where a proposed decision recommended revocation. The proposed decision was formally adopted by the department to revoke the institution's approval to operate. And the last action was a withdrawn accusation, as an institution was able to successfully mitigate the violations outlined in the accusation. Next slide. During the fourth quarter, the Bureau had 4 enforcement actions resulting from a statement of issues. 2 proposed decisions were a result of an administrative hearing where the recommendation was to uphold the Bureau's denial, and this was formally adopted by the department. We had 1 statement of issues withdrawn as the institution was able to successfully mitigate the remaining causes for denial. And 1 statement of issues was withdrawn as the institution withdrew their appeal and request for hearing. Next slide. In the first quarter, the Bureau did not issue any emergency decisions or automatic suspensions. As of September 30th, 2025, the Bureau has 31 cases awaiting action at the Attorney General's office, Of these, 18 cases have been filed, are publicly available, and are currently pending adjudication. Next slide. Moving on to citations, the Bureau issued 62 citations in the first quarter. The data further indicates that several institutions have been cited multiple times, with a total of 62 citations issued to 61 institutions. Next slide. So this slide is in response to feedback from our last advisory committee meeting. We've included it, and it's going to show, it categorizes citations issued by referral type. These referral types include internal administrative referrals in orange. This includes violations such as failure to pay annual fees, failure to submit an annual report, or failure to pay or submit STRIF forms or applicable fees. It also includes inspection-based referrals in the reddish color, which are referrals resulting from compliance inspections, and investigation-based referrals in blue, which resulted from formal investigations. I wanted to note that if a citation includes both an inspection and internal administrative violation, it has been categorized in these pie charts as inspection-based. Citations are only classified as internal administrative when no inspection or investigation violations are present. So as you can see in 24-25, a large portion of citations addressed internal administrative violations. We attribute this primarily related to annual report noncompliance. 21% of citations were issued as a result of investigations, reflecting the Bureau's focus on unapproved activity. And investigations may result in either citation or formal discipline. However, for unapproved activity, we can only address those through citations. And in fiscal year 24-25, we issued 50 unapproved activity citations. The next graph shows current year-to-date trends for 25-26. Most citations issued to date have been from compliance inspection referrals. Administrative referrals are currently lower as annual report related violations typically increase in quarter 3 after the annual report is due. We should see the percentages adjust for each category as the year continues. However, at this time, the majority of referrals that are pending are inspection-based. Next slide. All of our disciplinary actions can be found on the Bureau's website. And this concludes the discipline presentation. I'd like to take a moment to recognize and thank the discipline unit staff for their continued dedication and hard work throughout this first quarter. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Renee. Any questions from the committee members? Doesn't seem like it. Wonderful. So we will open it up for public comment for item 5F, the discipline update.
Thank you. This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a comment on the update, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. Our call-in users can press *3 to raise their hands. Are there any comments on the update? I do not see any requests for comment, so I will turn the meeting back to you.
Thank you. We will move on to item 5G, the Office of Student Assistance and Relief update. Is this Jan?
Hi, good morning. My name is Yan Kao. I am the Chief of the Office of Student Assistance and Relief, and I'll be presenting on some of the OSAR's outreach and student support efforts in the first quarter. We can go to the first slide. This is our student outreach to transitioning veterans. So we continue to do a number of presentations across the state, reaching veterans at the point in time when they're considering transition to post-service, including potentially higher education opportunities. So we're excited to have this opportunity to present to veterans at these critical moments. I will preview, looking ahead, that these presentations have paused during the federal shutdown. So it was good to get a lot of these in early. If we can go to the next slide, the next few slides discuss our outreach efforts with students at schools that have closed. And I want to acknowledge that we received some questions from the advisory committee meeting the last time about school closures and being able to share more information on school closures as the Bureau sees them, and also as the Department of Education reports on them. So these are 6 of the school closures from the last quarter, where we were aware of students who had been enrolled within 120 days of the closure of the school. Reese Davis, which you'll see in the middle there with 32 students within that 120 days of institutional closure, is the only Title IV school among the set. So that would be the only school reflected in the Federal Department of Education's closed school reporting for this quarter. As you'll see, the Bureau has quite a number of additional institutions where we are managing information about the closure, and we're really receiving information about closure from a range of sources. Just to share one example, the first school here, Emperor's College, is an example of a school where OSAR was the unit to first be informed about the closure. In this case, a student reached out and shared an email communication that the student had received from the school, where the school communicated to students that they had an intended last day, they had intentions to close. The school had not gone through the procedures required by the Bureau for doing so. My staff in OSAR was able to connect with other staff across the Bureau to ensure that the school received information on the closure procedures that they're required to perform. And so the school eventually did that, and we were able to reach out to over 114 students who had been impacted there and give them advice on applying for STRIF, as well as other resources for those students. If we can go to the next slide, this slide captures a different kind of outreach that sometimes occurs when we have even more sudden closures. So we did engage in rapid response outreach with a school that closed very suddenly. This was a school that relinquished accreditation without having full awareness that doing so would also terminate the approval that the school had with the Bureau as a school that was approved by means of accreditation. We received kind of a panicked call from students stating that they had been scheduled for a series of appointments on the last date of the school's operations, where the students were asked to make payments in order to obtain documentation, transcripts, documentation demonstrating their educational certifications. And, at that point, the closure was very sudden and was not in compliance with Bureau requirements for closure and refund requirements. The OSAR team was able to partner with the enforcement team, go on site to the school location, provide information to those students who had been scheduled to go in and make cash payments to receive their documentation and inform them about their STRIF rights and other rights under California Education Code. If we can go to the next slide, you'll see that the theme across many of our student contact reports is that closure outreach and STRIF application assistance are the topics where we are consistently receiving the highest volume of student questions. And this really tracks the outreach that we do around closures. So with phone calls, we had a higher volume around some of those closures that you saw on the prior slides, especially the more sudden closures. If we can go to the next slide here. We continue to monitor the OSAR email inbox. And here again, you'll see high number of emails about STRIF assistance, school and program closures, and transcript assistance. And I think that those are areas where, looking ahead, we're thinking about developing mechanisms to be able to better provide information to students on the OSAR website and through some of our other printed publications, so the students have more clarity. And of course, they would still be able to reach out to us for individualized assistance. But I think that creating a bit of a feedback loop between the questions that we're receiving on a regular basis and the materials that we're providing to the public is one of the goals looking forward. If we can go to the next slide for OSAR. Student appointments report reflects the one-on-one appointments that we are conducting with students when they request to schedule it. In some ways, I think that there's pretty close overlap between this and the phone calls because we have the same types of conversations with students. This is a bit more formal where students request a more in-depth conversation. At the moment, these reflect the high level of interest in receiving assistance around STRIF and school closures. Looking forward, I am developing, with great support from Debbie and Lynn, additional materials around student loan assistance and especially private loans, as we're seeing more examples of those. If we can go to the last slide. That kind of sums up our presentation at the moment. I do want to thank my staff who have been very open to trying new things and growing in this environment. And I also want to thank my colleagues. We've worked really closely in my time with the Bureau so far, with the STRIF team and with enforcement. And I think that with Nicole's onboarding, I'm very excited to work with licensing as well to start providing more support to students as early as we identify that they may be at risk for harm.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from committee members?
Thank you so much, Jan. I think this is the first time I've seen more detailed information about sort of the day-to-day activities of OSAR and how you are helping students. And I just want to say I really, really appreciate it. It's really helpful to know. And it's so heartening to know that so many students seem to be reaching out to OSAR and know that you are a resource. And also, I think it's really helpful to see what OSAR and the Bureau do when a school closes, to have a little more information about what you're doing and what you're seeing. So I just really want to thank you for that and appreciate all the work you've done on these slides. So thank you.
Thank you. I will say that I do think that we're aided by the compliance unit, where I had the pleasure of being able to kind of ride along on one of those rides, and OSAR is required to be included in the materials that are shared with students, and the compliance unit regularly reminds schools of that when they don't include that information. But I think that it helps a lot to establish the credibility of OSAR as a state bureau and a place that students can turn to for support.
Any more questions or comments from committee members? Okay, moving to public comment for item 5G, the Office of Student Assistance and Relief update.
Thank you. This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a comment on the update, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. And call-in users can press *3 to raise their hands. Are there any comments on the update? I do not see any requests for comment. I can turn the meeting back to you.
Thank you so much. We are moving to our last item under item 5, which is 5H, the Student Tuition Recovery Fund update. Yvette?
Good morning, Chair Farron and committee members. I'm Yvette Johnson. I am the Chief of the Student Tuition Recovery Fund Unit, also known as STRIF. To start off, I want to provide an update on our vacant positions we have been trying to fill, and I'm happy to announce that as of this month, we have filled one of our vacancies. We now have 3 analysts. Yay! So I would like to also welcome Benjamin Achakowski on board. He joined the team as of Monday. So we look forward to getting him onboarded and getting him involved with helping us with processing the STRIF applications and helping our students. And we're also still actively recruiting to fill our other vacant positions. Hopefully we can have those filled soon. So just to give you a little breakdown, in addition to processing STRIF applications, the STRIF team has also been working closely with Connect to get the system updated and working for both internally and externally. So we're actually seeing progress with that, and that is helping us with our efficiency efforts as well. Okay, if you can go to the first slide, please. So our first slide is the information for the claims that we've received. The number of claims received has stayed consistent over the past 2 quarters. And we are seeing that the majority of our claims are still being received electronically. Next slide, please. So for the first quarter, there were 6 claims approved, and that was a total of $86,565. And with the rest of our claims that we have 5 claims that were ineligible. We have 69 claims that were denied, and a lot of those denials were due to students not being able to demonstrate that they have an economic loss. So when a student receives a denial letter after their claim has been processed, they do have 60 days from the date of the denial to appeal that. And with that, we just ask that if they're appealing, that they provide us additional information to prove that there was an economic loss and how they were harmed. And we had 6 claims where we had students that were unable to contact. And that means that we reached out to them phone, email, snail mail, and whatever other ways there are out there to get to them. Next slide, please. So currently, our current STRIF claim count is we have 114 claims that are with managers for review, and that will be the review of either to approve or deny, or send it back to the analyst for further review if we don't agree with their recommendation. We have 157 claims that are actively being processed or looked at by analysts. We have 72 claims that are out there waiting for a student response. That means after the review of the claim, the analyst found that there was missing information, so we reach out to the student to get more information. And we have 498 that are currently in queue, which means that those have not been assigned to an analyst yet. Next slide, please. So this one you'll see as of the first quarter, we didn't have any claims pending at the State Controller's Office for payment. However, we did have that there were 73 claims that were approved for a total of $1,278,416.91. And that is the balance of the fund right now. And this last slide is our large impact closures, which we're happy to say we have not had to add any schools to this. So there's my contact information. If you have any questions, I welcome those.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the committee members? Hearing none, then we'll move to public comment for item 5H, the Student Tuition Recovery Fund update.
Thank you. This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a comment on the update, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. Instructions are on the screen. And if our call-in users would like to make a comment, you may press *3. Are there any comments on the update? I do not see any requests for comment. I will turn the meeting back to you.
Thank you. That is the end of the item 5 on the agenda. I just want to say thank you again to all the Bureau staff for the reports and all the information you provide. It's super helpful. I didn't thank everybody individually, but I meant it to all of you individually. All right, moving on to item 6, the status update and discussion related to regulatory matters. Let's see, I think I'll just turn it over. 6A, B, and C kind of all go together. So I will turn it over, I think, to Parker. Is that right?
Yeah. Thank you, Chair Farron, and thank you, members of the committee, for the opportunity to present on our regulatory efforts today. If we could go to the next slide. So this is our regulations tracker. Our first major update is that the minimum operating standards refund policies package was submitted to the Office of Administrative Law on October 6th, 2025. And then the 3 other 2025 packages for unapproved activity, catalog requirements, and approval by means of accreditation applications are all still in progress. And so we continue to push forward with our important regulatory work. And of course, notices of effective packages and public comment periods will be provided to our subscribed regulatory mailing list. And with that said, can we go to the next slide, please? And so the first of our 3 2025 packages up for discussion today is our unapproved activity package. The major changes that we've made since this text was last provided is we removed the $10,000 minimum fine amount in 75030B1, giving us the full citation fine range available to the Bureau. We also added 75030B2F to the list of aggravating and mitigating factors to encompass situations that may arise that the Bureau needs to consider but are explicitly listed as factors A through E. In summation, the changes made to the unapproved activity package ensure that the Bureau achieves its goal of clear, transparent, and effective enforcement efforts, and clearly lists the aggravating and mitigating factors to be considered when issuing a citation pursuant to Section 94944. And so with that said, I'll pause there. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions on the unapproved activity package if there are any.
Advisory committee members, any questions or comments? Apparently, it's all very clear.
Do you want me to move on to the next package for catalog requirements?
Yeah, we can move on to the next one.
Okay. So our second 2025 package for catalog requirements has also had some changes made. Changes include removing the annual updates in former A1 and allowing an annually updated catalog or updates made as long as they're clearly labeled and dated to that catalog. We added distance education learning management systems used by the institution, removed the word normal and added for the period covered by the catalog as it pertains to business hours in B13. We removed the word and procedures in B14 and 15 since procedures for records are covered by 15A. And credit to this committee for some of the discussion on digital storage of records. We did add language to address digital storage or records stored at locations other than the institution's primary administrative location. And we also added B17 to address programs designed to lead to positions in a profession, occupation, trade, or career field requiring licensure in this state. With this package, the Bureau continues to make effective disclosure for students, institutions, and the public at the forefront. We appreciate the feedback received up to this point, and we look forward to continuing to move this package forward as well as the year concludes and the new year begins. And so thank you. That's all I have on catalog requirements. But again, I'm happy to answer any questions from committee members.
Committee members, anyone have any comments or questions?
And if there's no questions from members of the committee, similar to the May discussion on this package, I do have just some questions for Tess. As an institutional representative, we didn't get the chance to ask you this at the May meeting, but it was flagged by the committee to follow up just about business hours. And specifically, how does your institution look at the term business hours? And right now, normal business hours is what our regulations say. And we're curious about, does that have any specific meaning for your institution? Is there an understanding as to what the word normal means as opposed to just business hours?
No, that's a very good question, and one, because our operations specifically, we have students on campus from 6 a.m. to midnight. So we do have what would be perceived as some normal business hours, and that's more so like an 8 to 4:30 or 5, Monday through Friday. However, we do have, in addition, support mechanisms where we have some staggering schedules. So I think for us, the term normal is easily differentiated from regular coverage and support. And students have means and mechanisms through, in this particular case, an app on their phone to set whether it be in-person or phone appointments during times that they can see are available for the various need, during after hours is what we call it, or during normal business hours. So the term normal didn't stand out to us as a concern by any means, but certainly we can strike it as it is, or and move forward with business hours, or for us it didn't represent any concern.
Okay. Thank you. That's really helpful feedback. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
One other question is just about policies and procedures. We had talked about this also back in May, and just about procedures with catalog disclosures really to student access for procedures, as comparing to like an institution's self-monitoring procedures, for example. So I'm just curious, how does your institution think about policies juxtaposed to procedures in the context of a student catalog?
So if I'm understanding it correctly, it's important, at least from our perspective, to make sure it's very clearly stated in the catalog, procedures around, specific to grading and SAP and, leaves of absences and maximum time frame, and essentially the things that can impact a student's ability to be successful throughout their tenure within the institution. So, we do take time to include those types of things within the catalog. Doesn't go into the depth as, say, the SOP would internally, but there's definitely importance about referencing what those processes are, and we do make sure we're also articulating that, even in times of orientation. That's something that I personally do, so students have an understanding of an overview of what those are, and then also where to find that information. I actually give that as homework on the week before school starts, is to read the catalog as a means to get excited and motivated to hear and see all the different courses you're going to take, as well as truly understanding what the policies are, procedures, expectations, and the why behind that. Everything that we do is not driven by a strict policy, but rather what are our employer partners going to be looking for. It's all about career readiness. So we do spend quite a bit of time to make sure that that's well differentiated, that it's, the attendance policy is not to be mean. It's to make sure that there's a career readiness component that supports the student's success here and getting solid career opportunities after graduation.
Okay. Thank you. And thanks for letting me put you on the spot for this meeting.
Yeah,
I
no worries.
appreciate that. And that to me sounds similar to what we've heard, just in the context of policies versus procedures that institutions have, and the ones that they use and apply specifically to students. So thank you. Those are the only questions that I had directed at you. But certainly, if there's any other questions or anything, you or any other members of the committee are always welcome to reach out, and I'm happy to discuss further.
And Parker, this is Tess again. Just if you want to take anything offline and dig in deeper, there's certainly areas I'm passionate about. So I'm happy to set some time outside of this call too.
Good to know. Thank you.
think we can move on to 5C unless you have, or 6C, sorry, unless you have additional feedback requests for 6B.
Nope, I'm ready. So
Okay, let's
our
do it.
third 2025 package, approval by means of accreditation applications. I want to start just again by thanking the committee for the feedback that was received at our last advisory committee meeting. We've continued to work on this package. Some changes here. We removed ownership level from B2B in 71390 and 480. We also updated subdivision B2D clause 1 in both sections to demarcate the scope of accreditation. We removed the word certification, certificate, because it has the same meaning as diploma. We added, if records are stored at a location other than a physical address, the institution shall provide the location where the records are stored. So again, thinking about digital records and where they're being kept. And adding the word complete to various subsections, B to B, C, and D in both 71390 and 71480. So the Bureau continues to examine ways in which the letters we receive from accrediting agencies and the information from institutions on their applications can give us the full information that we need as a licensing agency. To achieve this, we're proposing regulations that clearly spell out what information must be provided, such as accreditation dates, ownership, locations, program details, record-keeping information, and an acknowledgement that institutions must still comply with all applicable state laws. So we'll continue working on this package. And thank you again for the opportunity. And if there's any questions on this one, I'm happy to take those as well.
Committee members, any questions or comments? Sounds like nothing. I think everything feels very, anyway, the conversations from the past meetings, we see the result here and it's what we discussed, and that's always very helpful. So I appreciate the summary. Since there's no comments or questions from committee members, we'll open item 6, the discussion related to regulatory matters and status update for public comment.
Thank you. This is the moderator. We have opened for comment on the regulatory updates. If anyone would like to make a comment, you may click on the hand icon to raise your hand, and call-in users can press *3 to raise their hand. I did see one hand go up. Okay, there we go. So Damon Fugit, I'm going to send you a request to unmute. You should get a pop-up that will let you unmute yourself.
I did. Thank you very much. Sorry, guys, I jumped the gun. I was excited about this one. We actually do use, I'm sorry, I'm with DeHart Technical School here in Modesto, California. We do utilize most of the language here directly into our policies and procedures, and that does directly impact how our catalog is written. I just would request to know like a timeline for when this might be published. We're accredited by Asset, and they typically will ask us what the BPPE updates are and then basically feed back down through our catalogs when they do evaluations. So we've had a couple instances in the past where we haven't seen like a organized published list or been able to map changes directly from one time to another, and that's brought up small infraction cases. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you. And are there any other requests for public comment? I do not see any further requests. I will turn the meeting back to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you, Parker, for all that information. We'll move on to item 7, which is the overview of the sunset review process. And I actually don't know who is presenting this one.
Hi, I'm Ryan Thatcher with the DCA Legislative Office, so I'm going to be presenting on this one. So thank you for having me here. I just wanted to start off by thanking Deborah and all of the BPP staff. They've been working for several months on this sunset report, and it is clearly something they spent a lot of time and put a lot of thought into, and it really shows. So I just want to say we appreciate that as reviewers, and I'm sure the legislature will appreciate that, and it'll help the Bureau put its best foot forward as the sunset review process goes through. So I just want to start off with that. Thank you. So I was going to give just a little bit of a brief overview of the kind of what is sunset review. I'm sure this will be something that most of you already know, but just kind of give us on the same page, and then talk a little bit about what's to come in the next months, nearly year, as we go through this sunset review process. So technically, in statute, the Bureau is set to sunset at the end of 2026, meaning it would no longer exist. Now, that's not going to happen. This is just a mechanism that the legislature uses to provide oversight over the Bureau and many other entities. And so as a way for them to kind of have a conversation and in the end have a bill that will extend the Bureau's sunset date, likely by another 4 years, and hopefully have a lot of other good things in there that will help help the Bureau out, help any issues that have been raised during the sunset review process. So we will be spending the next few months doing these several steps. This sunset review process is overseen by the Assembly Business and Professions Committee and the Senate Business Professions and Economic Development Committees, referred to as the joint committees. And they will kind of be in dialogue with the Bureau, with DCA, as we navigate this process. So the first step in this is the aforementioned sunset report. So that is a report that, as I said, the Bureau has been working on the past few months. It is due to the legislature, I believe, January 5th this year. And it is something that's put together by the joint committees that has a lot of questions: licensing, enforcement, lots of data, all these things that the Bureau has filled out. And most importantly, in my view, at the end, there's a new issues section where the Bureau is able to put a bunch of information about changes that they would like to have, legislative changes that they think would help the Bureau. And they had over 20 of them this year in this section. So there's a lot of thought put in there. And so this is kind of the starting point for talking about what kind of things can go in this bill. And right now, the sunset report is in its review stage. It's got several months of review that it has to go through because it has a lot of eyes looking at it. So right now, the DCA is kind of finishing up our review of this. I actually have it open on another tab right now. And after we finish this, hopefully this week, it will go to agency who will review it, and then finally to the governor's office who will give the final sign off, and then it will be submitted to the joint committees of the legislature by January 5th. The next thing that will happen is a background paper, and this is a document that's put together by the joint committees, and it has some background information about the Bureau, but most importantly, it has a series of issues at the end where some of it is based off of the new issues that were put in the sunset report, or may just be based off of other issues that have come to the committee's attention. And they will ask a series of questions that the Bureau will need to provide written responses to. So this background paper, not sure exactly when we will receive it, normally late February, early March. And the Bureau will need to provide these written responses within a month after they have their sunset hearing in March. So normally in April, these responses will be due. Again, these will have to be drafted by the Bureau and then reviewed again by DCA and agency, and then a final sign off by the governor's office. The number of questions that you all will be required to answer kind of vary. I would usually around 10 to 20 written responses are required. And these are this won't be nearly as long as the sunset report, but it's still something that, will be operating on a quick timeline here. I would expect there to be a fair number of questions kind of on the higher end of background paper responses required, just because there were so many new issues that were raised in the BP sunset report, and those tend to correlate with each other. So that will happen in kind of March and April. And then kind of a big one is the sunset hearing, which also has not been scheduled. These typically happen in early to mid-March. And so this will be a hearing by the joint committees. Testifying for these committees, it's always the bureau chief and the DCA director, Kirkmeyer. So Deborah and Kim will be testifying at this hearing. And it's a chance for the legislature to ask any and all questions that they have of the bureau. And so we will be doing a lot of preparation. My office will be working closely with the bureau to help prepare for this, working on opening statements. We will conduct a mock hearing session so that we can try to work out all the kinks before we go live on there. And then, as I said, sometime in March, Deborah and Director Kirkmeyer will be answering questions of the committee, along with the other DCA programs that are going through sunset right now. And then the big one that all of this is working towards is the sunset bill. This is the actual bill that will, most importantly, extend the Bureau's sunset date. This typically, as I said, for 4 years, and I expect this will probably be another 4 years this time. And it will also include the legislation that was discussed in the sunset report and in the background paper, and just in other discussions, things that would help the Bureau continue with its goals of consumer protection. So this whole thing is a very collaborative process. I think the committees do a good job of working with us, with the Bureau, with agency, with everyone on working together to identify the real issues that need to be resolved, areas of improvement, ways that they can help, and things like that. And all of that will end up going into this sunset bill. The sunset bill will be introduced sometime in mid to late February, based off the legislative calendar. But just a warning, at first it will be what is called a spot bill, meaning there will be a bill that's introduced, but there will be hardly any substance in the bill yet. And this is just kind of part of the way the legislature operates. They need to get this bill out there by a certain date, but they're not ready. The discussions are still ongoing as to what's going to go into the bill. And so I would not expect there to be any real substance into the sunset bill until late spring, early summer, based off of past experience the past few years. So, during that time, that's when all these discussions are happening. So don't worry if you see this bill and it seems to do essentially nothing, because that is what it will be for a few months. And then the legislative calendar, I believe the deadline for bills to pass is early September next year. So this bill will, be heard in various committees along the way and pass through the process, and then hopefully will be passed and signed sometime in late August or early September, and the bill will go into effect starting the next year. So that is all I have on this overview, but I'm happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Committee members, any questions or comments? It was very helpful to have that all laid out. I think based on the timeline, I'm not sure. I guess my only question would be, what role do we have, if any, in this process? And I think based on the time, yeah, I guess I'm just curious if there is any role that you anticipate the advisory committee would play.
So for boards in DCA, their board members need to take a vote and approve the final sunset report before it goes out, and some other actions like that. But for bureaus, there's nothing technically that needs to be done by the advisory committee. It doesn't need to be approved. It kind of goes through the governor's office instead. So it's just, your general role as an advisory committee, providing advice as needed, but there's nothing that is, set in stone that has to be done.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, our next meeting generally, I know that's one of our next agenda items, but isn't until February. So it'll be an opportunity, I think, for us to maybe review the report that comes out in January and provide any feedback going forward in terms of when we get to the hearing and all of that. So that's probably more of what our capacity will be, it sounds like.
Yes, that sounds accurate.
Okay, sounds great. No more questions from committee members, then I will open it up to public comment for item 7, the overview of the sunset review process.
Any members of the public have public request for public comment, raise your hand, or if you're a call-in, press *3. Not seeing any requests. Turn it back over to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Richie. Okay, moving on to item number 8, future meeting dates. There they are. They're on the slide. The proposed meeting dates. I don't know if anyone else was going to present them, but I can just read these off. February 4th would be virtual via WebEx. May 6th would be virtual via WebEx. August 19th would be the in-person meeting in Sacramento. And then November 12th would be the virtual via WebEx again. So those are the proposed dates. We can take note of them. They're in the materials, obviously, as well. Any other Bureau staff want to make a comment about these proposed dates?
This is Tess, just a very small comment because I was loading them in my calendar earlier. Yeah. Just for everybody's awareness, we typically always meet on a Wednesday. The November 12th meeting is a Thursday due to the Veterans Day holiday. So just maybe something for folks to keep in mind.
That's a good flag. Yeah, and for committee members, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I know we're missing a few meetings, missing a few members here. Do folks who are present today see any obvious conflicts with any of these dates? If not, we can just go confirm with the other members that are missing and then calendar them accordingly.
They look fine to me. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And for advisory committee members, because sometimes we do have a challenge getting a quorum. If you can calendar them ahead of time, it's really helpful, and try to reserve this time so that we can make sure we have enough people to hold the meetings and hold vote and all those things. Okay, moving agenda item 8, moving to public comment, future meeting dates.
Again, to make a public comment, members of the public can click the raised hand icon, or call-ins can press *3. Just give it one moment. Seeing no requests, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you. And item number 9, future agenda items. Any committee members have requests for future agenda items or comments or ideas?
I liked yours, Lee, about reviewing the sunset information on the next, if that's available to us.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. That's a good point to actually make sure it gets added. I have a feeling that Bureau staff would probably add it, but it makes sense for us to actually request it. We'll have the report, it sounds like, as of early January, so hopefully all of us will have a chance to take a look at that before their meeting about a month later. That's a good point, Tess. Thanks. Any other suggestions or comments from committee members? Okay, moving to public comment for item 9, future agenda items.
Thank you. This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a suggestion of another topic to address at a future meeting, You can look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand, and call-in users can press *3 to raise their hand. Any comments or suggestions? All right, I see no requests, so I will turn it back to you.
Thank you. And the last official item is the chair and vice chair elections, because my time as chair is coming to an end. So we need to elect a new chair and a new vice chair. And actually, this is a good point. I don't have a like specific language for this. I don't know if one of the Bureau staff does, but I think we can either self-nominate or nominate someone else who might be interested in taking on either of these two roles. We did do some, let's see. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think you all are welcome to just open it up to discussion amongst yourselves and just, suggest someone that you think might be a great fit for either one of the positions. And we would be, we're honored that all of you spend time on the committee at all, and particularly thankful for those of you who choose to step up in leadership positions. Thank you.
I will just say, because I've already talked to her about it, I would definitely suggest Tess take on the chair role. I know we've had conversations, so I think that there is a natural progression to moving from vice chair to chair, although it's not required. It just is kind of a natural thing. So Tess, I would definitely think you would be wonderful as the chair position.
Thank you,
I'll
Leah.
second that nomination.
And I'd be happy and honored. So certainly willing to have my name in the hat for that role.
Is there anyone else who wants to take on the role of chair? Not that I'm trying to create competition, just making sure everyone has an opportunity. Okay. I don't know if Lynn or Debbie wants to help me with this, but do we vote? Should we vote as a package, or can we vote on people separately?
It should be done separately.
Great. So why don't we start with, well, I guess let's do this. Is there anyone who is interested in taking on the vice chair role, or would suggest somebody to take on the vice chair role?
This is Tess again. I would actually suggest yourself, Lee, if that was something that you were open and willing to do.
I'm willing to, and we did confirm that it's possible for me to stay on as a vice chair if there is no one else who, we are missing a few people. I don't think we can, well, I guess we could elect them in absentia, but that feels a little wrong. Is there anyone else who would be interested in taking on this role? Okay. Well, the only thing I guess we can actually vote for ourselves. Okay. So then what I would be looking for would be a motion to nominate Tess as the chair of the Bureau's Advisory Committee.
So move. Chancellor Chu.
Thank you. Second.
This is Melanie Delgado. I'll second it.
Okay, wonderful. Any advisory committee comments or questions? Okay, then I will move to public comment for the vote on the nomination of Tess as chair.
Thank you. This is the moderator. If anyone has any comment on the nomination or the motion, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. Any comments on the nomination? I do not see any request for comment. I will turn the meeting back to you.
Great. Then we can take a vote on the nomination of Tess as chair. And we do need 6 votes. So I think, Tess, you get to vote for yourself. So I'll start with you. Tess.
Aye.
Melanie.
Aye.
Robert.
Aye.
Robin.
Aye.
Canson.
Aye.
And myself, Lee, also aye. So congratulations, Tess.
Congratulations.
Thank you, everybody.
And I guess I will also take a motion for myself to serve as the vice chair.
So moved, Councilman Chu.
Thank you. And a second.
This is Tess. I'll second.
Okay. Any questions or comments from advisory committee members? Last minute substitutions are welcome. No? Okay. We'll move to public comment then on the motion to appoint me as the vice, to appoint Lee Farron as the vice chair.
Thank you. This is the moderator. If there are any comments on the nomination or the motion, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. Each speaker will have 3 minutes with a 30-second warning. Any comments on the motion? I do not see any requests for comment. I will turn the meeting back to you.
Thank you. All right, I will go through a vote on this, on the motion to nominate myself as vice chair. Tess?
Aye.
Melanie?
Aye.
Robert?
Aye.
Robin?
Aye.
Canson?
Aye.
And myself, Lee, also aye. So there we go. I will say, just as leaving as chair, I am so grateful to Debbie and every other person at the Bureau who has supported me, and Lynn and everyone who's helped me through navigating these meetings. So thank you so much. You guys are all wonderful. And it's not like I'm leaving, but I'm just, in this role, I'm just super grateful for all the support that you all provide. It's made this a very much easier task than I might have thought. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. And with that, we are adjourned for our November meeting. Thank you all. We will see you in February.
Bye, everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Lee, for your service.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Canson.
Yeah, you've done an amazing job. Big shoes to fill. So thank you.
You will be fine. Thanks, Tess.